A reading from the first book of Samuel. The Lord said to Samuel, "Fill your horn with oil and be on your way. I am sending you to Jesse of Bethlehem, for I have chosen my king from among his sons." As Jesse and his sons came to the sacrifice, Samuel looked at Eliab and thought, "Surely the Lord's anointed is here before him." But the Lord said to Samuel, "Do not judge from his appearance or from his lofty stature, because I have rejected him. Not as a man sees does God see. Because man sees the appearance, but the Lord looks into the heart." In the same way, Jesse presented 7 sons before Samuel, but Samuel said to Jesse, "The Lord has not chosen any one of these." Then Samuel asked Jesse, "Are these all the sons you have?" Jesse replied, "There is still the youngest who is tending the sheep." Samuel said to Jesse, "Send for him. We will not begin the sacrificial banquet until he arrives here." Jesse sent and had the young man brought to them. He was ruddy, a youth handsome to behold, and making a splendid appearance. The Lord said, "There, anoint him, for this is the one." Then Samuel, with the horn of oil in hand, anointed David in the presence of his brothers. And from that day on, the Spirit of the Lord rushed upon David. The word of the Lord.
Thanks be to God.
The Lord is my shepherd, there is nothing I shall want. Fresh and green are the pastures where he gives me repose. Near restful waters he leads me, he revives my soul. The Lord is my shepherd, there is nothing I shall want. along the right path for the sake of his name. Though I walk in the valley of the shadow of death, no evil will I fear, for you are with me. Your crook and your staff will give me comfort. Prepared a table before me in the sight of my foes. My head you have anointed with oil, my cup is overflowing. The Lord is my shepherd. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life. In the Lord's house I shall dwell, for length of days unending. Oh, the Lord He is my shepherd.
A reading from the letter of St. Paul to the Ephesians. Brothers and sisters, you were once darkness, but now you are light in the Lord. Live as children of light, for light produces every kind of goodness and righteousness and truth. Try to learn what is pleasing to the Lord. Take no part in the fruitless works of darkness. Rather expose them, for it is shameful even to mention the things done by them in secret. But everything exposed by light becomes visible, for everything that becomes visible is light. Therefore, it says, "Awake, O sleeper, and arise from the dead, and Christ will give you light." The word of the Lord.
Thanks be to God.
Praise to
The Lord be with you. And with your spirit. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to John. Glory to you, Lord. I'd like to invite all of us to sit while we proclaim the Gospel.
The man born blind. All of us begin our walk in blindness. Like the man born blind in John's Gospel, we too are sent to the pool of Siloam to wash away our resentments, our prejudices, our bigotry, and our fear, so that we can become what God created us to be, worthy to call ourselves followers of Christ.
Alms for the poor and blind.
In the time of Jesus, people believed that those who were poor, sick, crippled, and mentally ill were personally responsible for their condition. Possibly they or their parents had committed a sin that caused the affliction. Sickness was thought to be a punishment from God.
Spare some change.
The problem of suffering has always mystified humanity. If God loves us, why does suffering exist? The disciples in this gospel story were people of their time. In their culture, suffering was always thought to be connected to sin.
Can anyone spare some change?
In today's gospel, Jesus and a number of disciples come upon a man who has been blind from birth, begging by the roadside.
Rabbi, who sinned that this man, or his parents, that he was born blind?
Neither he or his parents sinned. It is so that the works of God might be made visible through him. We have to do the works of the one who sent me while it is day. Night is coming when no one can work. While I am in the world, I am the light of the world.
When he had said this, Jesus spat on the ground and made clay with the saliva and smeared the clay on his eyes.
Go wash in the pool of Siloam.
So the blind man went and washed and came back able to see.
I can see. Thank God, I can see.
His neighbors and those who had seen him earlier as a beggar said,
"Isn't this the one who used to sit and beg?"
It is.
No, it just looks like him.
I am he.
So, how were your eyes opened?
The man called Jesus made clay and anointed my eyes, and he told me to go wash in the pool of Siloam. So I went there and I washed, and I was able to see.
Where is he?
I don't know.
They brought the one who was once blind to the Pharisees. Now, Jesus had made clay and opened the blind man's eyes on a Sabbath. So then the Pharisees also asked him, "How are you able to see?"
He put clay on my eyes and I washed, and now I can see.
So some of the Pharisees said,
This man is not from God because he does not keep the Sabbath. How can a sinful man do such signs? What do you have to say about him since he opened his eyes?
He is a prophet.
Now, the Judeans did not believe that he had been blind and gained his sight until they summoned the parents of the one who had gained his sight.
Is this your son, who you say was born blind? How does he now see?
We know that this is our son and that he was born blind.
We do not know how he sees now, nor do we know who opened his eyes.
Ask him. He is of age.
Yes, go ahead. Go ask him. He can answer for himself.
His parents said this because they were afraid of the Judean authorities, for they had already agreed that if anyone acknowledged Jesus as the Messiah, they would be expelled from the synagogue. For this reason, his parents had said,
Ask him. He is of age.
Yes, of course he is. Question him. He can answer for himself.
So, a second time, they called the man who had been blind. They said to him,
Give God the praise. We know not this man, Jesus, is a sinner.
If he is a sinner, I do not know. But one thing I do know, that though I was blind, now I can see.
What did he do to you? How did he open your eyes?
I already told you, and you did not listen. Why do you want to hear it again? Do you want to become his disciples too?
You are that man's disciple? We are disciples of Moses. We know that God spoke to Moses, but we do not know where this one is from.
This is so amazing that you do not know where he is from, yet he opened my eyes. We know that God does not listen to sinners, but if one is devout and does God's will, God listens to them. It is unheard of that anyone ever opened the eyes of a person born blind. If this man were not from God, he would not be able to do anything.
You were born totally in sin, and you are trying to teach us?
Then the Pharisees threw the blind man out. When Jesus heard that they had thrown him out, he found the man who could now see and said,
Do you believe in the Son of Man?
Who is he, sir, that I might believe in him?
You have seen him, and the one speaking with you is he.
I do believe, Lord. I do believe.
I came into this world for judgment, so that those who do not see might see, and those who do see might become blind.
We are not blind.
I'm not blind. Blind? Surely
We're
not
not talking.
blind.
We're not blind.
If you were blind, you would have no sin. But now you're saying, we see. So your sin remains.
Creator God, open our eyes. Help us to recognize the things in our lives that keep us in spiritual blindness. Jesus, Lord of life, teach us to seek the light, the truth, the way of love. Transform us into people who cherish justice, mercy, and compassion. Strengthen us to see with your eyes and to offer ourselves as your hands to build a world where God's will is done on earth as it is in heaven.
My sisters and brothers, the gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
Praise to you.